So after 18 months, I finally got the Les Paul Restore completed. Beautiful looking guitar, plays nice. Last time I posted a video, I was doing one coat of spray, and now I've put about 7 or 8 more coats of lacquer on. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a little wet sanding today using a very minimal amount of water in the spray bottle. I don't want to get the water into the cracks and actually have it crack, have the wood swell and crack the lacquer. But just going to start at 600, move my way up, and you can see here exactly what's happening. Get a little bit of an orange peel, you go back with sandpaper and you hit it. And so I've got a spray bottle. I start with 600 and I move all the way up to 2000 grit, and just use a very minimal amount of water just to get it wet, and just go over lightly across the whole guitar and move up in grit over time. And you do not want to press hard. You just want to really let the sandpaper do the work, and you're really not trying to sand, you're just sort of abrasing it. So not a lot of pressure. What happens a lot of times when you get errors is you're pushing too hard. So just let the paper do its work and don't really push too much. So I start at 600, move all the way up to 2000, and then I go ahead and buff. So this is my shop-made buffer. It's one of the first videos I put up years ago. It's a terrible video. Buffer wasn't all that stable. And now I've got it attached onto the back of my wine press clamp. I'm going to go in here and just start buffing this and pull out all those scratches from the final 2000. And the guitar is really starting to come out nicely here. So use the fine Mernza compound from Stu Mac, or Menzra, however it's pronounced. And I've got that far wheel is for medium grit, and this is for an extra fine grit. And since I went all the way up to 2000, I just went to the fine. And Stu Mac actually has the best deal on those buffing compounds. So I've got the guitar body braced against my body, and we'll just go through with steady hands and just go back and forth and buff this sucker. And as I go through, I needed some OEM pieces, and I tried to piece this together from eBay, but I ended up buying all this stuff from Sweetwater. So as I begin to install the pots and the mounting screws and everything, here I'm using my soldering iron to heat up the lacquer and able to force down into the lacquer the mounting screws, mounting rings. So I needed a new ground wire, so I passed through a new ground wire for the tailpiece. We're going to loosen this up, mount it in, heat it up with the soldering iron here, and use some pressure and force it down. And so you just let it heat up, it softens up the lacquer, and you push down. And there you go. So then I'm going to use a reamer and clean out the lacquer from the tuning pegs. And this is just a back and forth, getting it to fit right. Clean it out. Make sure it's the right size. I bought these off of eBay and a bridge set, but that bridge set didn't fit what I had. So I'm just using these tuning keys. And then for the screw holes, I heat up a drill bit. This is a 16th drill bit, and just push down so that way I don't get the lacquer to crack. We'll screw on the tops here. Screw the back side in. Put that truss rod cover on. I think this was actually a traditional, but I just went with the standard. You could see the headstock buffed out really nice. We're going to pop this tape off. It's been on for, feels like a year. And I noticed the frets actually needed to be rebuffed after letting the tape sit on for so long. So I'll get a razor blade, clean off the frets, just make sure everything's nice and clean. Some gook left on. And then I needed to curve the hum covers, and I got another video doing this, but just wanted to show you here. I ordered the plastic covers. I didn't want to screw them down where they bend, so I just put some sandpaper on my Les Paul gold top that I was using for my Les Paul kits I was selling at one point. So just go back and forth and get the covers flat, and then we'll go ahead and start wiring this sucker up. Got some solder, wire on the ground, then we'll wire the hot. Then we'll drop in the humbuckers into the covers. This is always a trick. Screw it in, sort of get it set up right. Push the wires through. I'm getting really close. Screw down the humbuckers, make sure the wiring's being pulled through. Then we'll start on the back side, and we'll file down a little bit on the pots to get a nice clean surface. Pots have usually a wax or coating on them. You got to pull that off. So to ground those pots, I'm going to get some solder, ground each side. I'm not going to show you the whole setup vid here. It takes me too long to do this. Show you some of the finer features here. We got the inside of the cavity all set. It's not perfect, but I need some new soldering tips and ran out. Then we'll go ahead and put the bell knobs on, get the 10s all lined up, and then we're going to use some Allison oil and clean up that fretboard and really get it smooth. Put some oil in there, and this has been sitting for a while, and that fretboard's pretty dry. So I started to string it up and realized I needed to drop a little oil on. So then got that Diageo bulk set, and we'll just string the sucker up. Having a string winder is so convenient. And then we'll take this outside, take some pics. This is in the sun. I've got a beautiful sort of rock-ish burst guitar. And then when the sun goes away, I've sort of got a brown burst. Really neat coloring using those stains. Really feels like I have two guitars. Headstock and fretboard really turned out nice. Here's the back side in the sun, and then here's it without the sun shining on it. And the coloring is really fantastic. You can even see that on the neck. You got this nice brown mahogany, and then it goes dark. So that's 18 months. You hear the sound clip in the background. Long time to do the restore, but so worth it. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next vid.